Welcome into your PFF prospect profile. It is all about Quenton Nelson, the Notre Dame guard today. And Mike, everybody loves Quenton Nelson. We're not going to break any news here. Everybody loves him. We love him. He does pretty much everything well. He does the stuff that offensive line coaches love, finishing plays, being mean. He does the stuff that we love, which is just winning blocks, winning more than everyone else. But there's a little bit of debate. Should we ever move him to left tackle? But essentially, how good is Nelson as a guard prospect? Because everybody's talking about him as the safest, maybe the best prospect in the draft, and a generational guard.
Yeah, a lot of times when you hear best prospect since X, and X, when you hear that statement, a lot of times it's because of purely physical traits. This guy has these elite physical traits that we haven't seen since this guy before him. But with Nelson, he has those elite physical traits that we haven't seen in a long time. But he also blends it with this on-field production that we also haven't seen. In our 4 years of grading, no one compares to him at the guard position. In our grades, he has the elite on-field production, the elite physical traits, and when those two combine, he really is one of the best guard prospects I've ever seen.
So we've talked a lot about positional value too here at PFF, and the guard is kind of a less valuable position when it comes to tackle. And I have to ask this, given the tackle deficiencies around the NFL. I know you love Quenton Nelson. You love everything about him.
Oh, yeah.
Would you play him at tackle at the next level? This is not a normal move, taking a guard and moving him to tackle.
If I need a left tackle, if I have a bad left tackle, tackle is the most important position along the offensive line. It leads to the most pressures of any position along the offensive line. If I need one, I think he is the best tackle in this draft in terms of the ability to play that position. He has the size, the arm length. The only reason he started at guard at Notre Dame is because they had Ronnie Stanley at left tackle, a first rounder, Mike McGlinchey at right tackle, a first rounder. Neither of those guys, they were both too tall to even play guard, so he got slotted inside. I think he can do it. If I need a tackle in this draft, I'd probably go Quenton Nelson over anyone else.
So I don't know that that's going to be the move, but I think that'd be a fascinating way to use Nelson, especially when tackle is such a bad position across the NFL. But at guard, let's focus on what he does well. And it feels like this battle to say who loved Quenton Nelson first. Because I noticed him back in 2015, second game of the year against Virginia. Eyeballed him and said, this guy's going to be good. Everybody's fighting to say, I loved Quenton Nelson first. When did you first fall in love with him?
Well, I fell in love with him his sophomore year at Notre Dame when he was one of the best guards in the nation there. Fell in love with him even more this past year when he utterly dominated. He had games his game against NC State was probably the best game I've ever seen by a college offensive lineman. He dominated B.J. Hill like no one dominated B.J. Hill in his entire career. B.J. Hill's going to be a mid-round pick and got his butt handed to him up and down that field all game. He just, in pass pro, run game, he can do it all. He is the total package.
Yeah, so his run blocking grades have gotten better every single year. He had the top grade last year in the nation in the top success percentage. And I think this is an important point for guards because a lot of scouts will take the high-level blocks, the pancakes, the exciting highlight reel blocks and focus on those. Nelson has plenty of those on tape, but he also just doesn't lose a whole lot. So that's just as important, I think, as far as if you just don't lose blocks, but you're also winning blocks, two different things, that's extremely important. Nelson is good there, but also improved pass block grades every year. I'm looking at our PFF draft guide, 87.5 pass block grade last year, the best he's ever had in his career. So he's still getting better despite, being the top prospect at guard that we've seen.
Yeah, his pass pro, maybe that's his only weakness, in my opinion, is he just gets a little too overexcited to get that punch and get that, first strike in because he's this incredibly dominant physical specimen who loves burying guys. And in pass protection, sometimes he gets a little overexcited. That's when he loses, but it's so infrequent at this point in his career. Like you said, he's gotten better every single year of his career to where there's really no weaknesses with this guy.
Well, what about just in the run game? He makes every block, right? When we're talking being able to move a guy off the line of scrimmage, making blocks when he's on the move, making second-level blocks. Any weaknesses when it comes to his run blocking at all?
There's really not. He can play on the move. He can play inline. He can take a guy right on the line of scrimmage and get him off the line of scrimmage. He has the power, the sort of change of direction ability, everything you look for. And he's basically a broken record. Every single run block looks like the one before it. His technique is flawless coming out of Notre Dame. There's really not a lot of things that you can say he can't do on the offensive line.
So there you have it. That is Quenton Nelson. Everybody seems to love his game, and we do too here at PFF. He's our top-graded guard this year, and after posting the top-graded guard season in 2017. That is your Quenton Nelson PFF Prospect Profile.